Russia continues to rain missiles on Ukrainian cities on day 24 of its invasion. UN estimates nearly 6.5 million people have been displaced in Ukraine and over 3.2 million have fled the country. The city of Kharkiv has faced heavy damage due to repeated bombings. Fire rages on in residential buildings as rescue teams are in action trying to evacuate people from the buildings. Mariupol, in fact, has seen heavy shelling and the city is in ruins. My colleague Rajesh Pawar is, in fact, joining me live from Kyiv right now. Rajesh, give us a sense of the ground situation in Ukraine today, specifically in the capital.
Look, capital has been quiet for last 3 days now, except for about 8 artillery shells which fell in a span of 10 to 15 minutes yesterday evening. Besides that, there have been no air attack or missile attack on the capital city as such. However, fighting in the east of Ukraine continues, be it in Kherson, be it in Donetsk, be it in Kharkiv. And let me tell you, it is not just from one side that civilian targets have been hit or the infrastructure has been damaged or people have died. Ukrainian forces have also indulged in counterattack, be it in Mariupol, on the areas held by the Russians now. They have also bombarded a city where civilians were living, and so is the case in Donetsk. Russia claims 25 civilians have died. No videos or photos of them have come to any international media so far. But this is confirmed in Donetsk. Civilian areas have been hit in the attack by the Ukrainian forces. So has been the case in Kherson. So fighting in the east and south continues unabated, whereas around the Kyiv city, fighting has a little bit slowed down. And the reason for that is probably Russian army is right now stocking up, beefing up their supplies of spare parts and ammunition. Over to you.
Right. Rajesh, you've of course been reporting about this and you've been mentioning that over the past couple of days and now 3 days on, the fact that there hasn't been any particular attack in Kyiv shows that the Russian army is stocking up, as you say. Does that mean that the Russian army obviously has been hit quite a bit, quite much over the past 3 weeks since this invasion of Ukraine began?
Look, the areas around Kyiv witnessed very heavy fighting in last 8 to 9 days in the areas of Irpin, Bucha, Gostomel and Brovary, which is all around Kyiv city within a radius of 40 kilometers. These areas witnessed very heavy fighting in last 8 to 9 days, and which probably resulted in exhausting the supplies of ammunition, spare parts and other supplies coming from Belarus and from Russia in these areas. Remember, it was a huge convoy which was reported by NASA and later on by the American government, 62-kilometer long convoy. So these are vehicles which need fuel, which needs to be replaced. These are men which needs food, which needs to be replaced. And the ammunition they are firing, it also needs to be replaced. And probably they are running low on all these things. And that is the reason there's a kind of lull in the battle right now. But it will resume as soon as they're fully supplied. Over to you.
Right. Rajesh, thank you so much for all of those details. Rajesh Pawar there reporting live from the war zone in Ukraine, from the capital city of Kyiv. Let's listen in to a video message earlier issued by Ukrainian President Zelensky saying that now is the time to talk, and he had a message for Moscow.
І я хочу, щоб мене зараз почули всі, почули особливо в Москві. Настав час зустрічатись, час говорити, настав час відновлювати територіальну цілісність і справедливість для України. Інакше втрати Росії будуть такими, що вам не вистачить і кількох поколінь, щоб піднятися.
As Russia steps up the offensive over Ukraine, missiles and rockets rain on Ukrainian cities, but Ukraine shows immense resilience as Russia is still unable to capture a single Ukrainian city. Here's a report.
This is the extent of the damage after parts of a Russian missile fell on a residential building in the northern part of Ukrainian capital Kyiv. At least one person was killed and 4 injured.
See, the missile hit our building. All apartments are totally destroyed. I don't know where I'm going to live now, where I'm going to work. I don't know to carry on living. And who is going to help me?
The emergency services said that they had rescued 12 people and evacuated another 98 from the 5-story building.
The missile fell. It fell down and there was nothing left of the apartment. I am barely alive myself. Yes, I am from that building. I guess I will no longer live there. A bomb arrived in the morning. Some kind of a rocket. I don't know. A projectile. I've heard it just because I live here, behind a school. So I just came here to have a look and offer my help if needed.
More than 3 weeks since Vladimir Putin launched an invasion, Ukraine is still standing and Russian forces have not captured a single big city. But Russia continues its offensive. 4 missiles hit an aircraft maintenance facility in the western Ukrainian city of Lviv, destroying its buildings. Ukraine's military says the facility was struck by cruise missiles launched from the direction of the Black Sea.
Enemy's strike against the city of Lviv is another proof that it does not fight Ukrainian troops. It fights population, children, women, refugees. There is nothing sacred for them.
In Mariupol, a city that has been under relentless Russian attack, this is what remains of the theatre that was bombed. The theatre was serving as a bomb shelter. Since the start of the invasion, over 24 days ago, Russian troops have taken heavy losses while blasting residential areas to rubble and sending more than 3 million refugees fleeing. Moscow denies it is targeting civilians in what it calls a special operation to disarm its neighbor. Bureau Report, India Today.
The fierce fight over closing the skies continues. As Ukraine appeals to close the skies, the West turns a blind eye to the no-fly zone plea. Russia, however, has closed the skies over Donbass. Here's the report.
To create a no-fly zone over Ukraine to save people. Is this too much to ask?
An impassioned plea to close Ukraine's skies against Russia and a bid to boost its air defense. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has run from pillar to post in the global corridors of power, beseeching governments to close their skies to Russian aircraft. For the Russian president too, the sky is where he draws the limit. On Friday, Russia imposed a no-fly zone over Ukraine's Donbass region, a move that cuts off access to Donbass's skies to the entire world. Zelensky has repeatedly called on countries to take action. The president urged the US Congress to close the sky over Ukraine to save the lives of millions.
We are asking for a reply, for an answer to this terror from the whole world. Is this a lot to ask for, to create a no-fly zone over Ukraine to save people? Is this too much to ask? Humanitarian no-fly zone, something that that Russia would not be able to terrorize our free cities.
Biden has so far approved $13.6 billion in military and financial support, but not the military jets and no-fly zone. Ukraine also pleaded for Canada's help to close the sky in an address to the House of Commons. Zelensky asked parliamentarians to imagine how life would be if Russian bombs were falling on Canadian cities.
We are not asking for much. We are asking for real support, which will help us to prevail, to defend our life of all the world. Justin, all friends, Ukraine, all friends of truth. You understand how important it is for us to protect our sky from these missiles and from Russian aircrafts.
The same warning has been repeated to NATO to act against Russia.
And now, I repeat again, if you do not close our skies, it is only a matter of time before Russian missiles fall on our territory, on the territory of NATO, and on the homes of citizens of NATO countries. American journalist Ben Renaud was killed today in Kyiv region. His colleague is injured. It was a deliberate attack by Russian military. They knew what they were doing. But not everyone in the West seems to know what they are doing.
Imposing a no-fly zone over Ukraine would mean directly stepping into the war. Will the US and NATO be willing to extend help beyond humanitarian and financial aid? Bureau Report, India Today.